Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started.
Study
and play come together on a Windows 11 PC.
And for a limited time, college students get
the best of both worlds.
Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
It's a rise of truth in my baby boots. Really no excuse for this kind of abuse. A vocabulary tyranny and rob in a time when I wish I cried to the size of the tool. For all in the name of cleverness.
Yeah, Mom,
what the hell?
I think I speak for all of us when I say, what are you doing?
I'm reinventing my career as a rapper.
Yeah, don't do that.
Excuse me, who died and made you Marshall Mathers? Anyway, it's like they always say, no risk, no reward.
I see what's going on here. Just roll the podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Coming to you live from the floor. Yes, I am coming off of my second injection that my doctor and I are working with, and I have been struggling a lot with my health. It's been really taking me down still and taking me out. So I decided to take a little bit of a risk and try some different treatments, and I'm trying this new injection, and I'm doing it in a calculated way. So we're going to be talking about risks and risk taking, specifically in the art world, of course, but I just wanted to use what I'm doing right now as a little bit of a springboard because I'm taking a little risk doing this, and it has been very up and down a roller coaster, as seems to be par for the course with this disease, but it is a risk I am willing to take because I have taken some steps to mitigate some of the downsides. And I also, obviously the alternative to not getting well is not good. So I am taking a risk that I think is worth taking, and I will keep you updated on that to let you know how I'm doing. But I thought I'd get a quick podcast episode out to you today while I have a tiny little spurt of energy after doing this. And we're going to talk about taking risks. That is something that is on my mind. And it has been something that has been a theme in my life. Looking back, it's kind of like, wow, I can't believe I took some of the risks that I did. And some of the risks paid off huge, and some of the risks were not well planned out, and I fell flat on my face and definitely suffered some repercussions. So we're going to be talking about taking risks in our art and our art careers and our lives, and making sure that when we are taking risks, that these risks are somewhat calculated, or at least we plan for what could happen if they do not pay off. And I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of, influencers, a lot of celebrities, a lot of gurus, a lot of coaches that will just kind of be like, you got to take risks. If you're not taking risks, you're not growing. If you're not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you're not growing. And I did this and I did this and I'm so brave and this paid off. Yes, those things are kind of true if you look at them on the surface. And it's the same with me. But the story that they are not telling you is that they probably had some sort of a cushion that they're not telling you about. It's much more sexy to talk about the huge risks you're taking and how you had no safety net and, look how brave I am. I did this and it paid off and this is what everybody has to do. And I think that is obviously sometimes scary for us. And I don't think it's realistic either. I think if you're just, taking a risk without planning for the potential downside, I think it's kind of ignorant and borderline stupid. And I have a new perspective on taking risks and not having a safety net because, a lot of the things that my wife and I are doing to try to heal me and get me to a place where I'm back in the land of the living and the working, there are very little safety nets to what I'm doing. The safety net is, okay, you could die. Well, I guess surrender is your safety net in those circumstances. But in real life, we can plan a little bit better. So when I first came down to LA, it was from school. I came out of college. I worked with my mentor and professor for a year. I had the Krellsheimer assistantship, so I was the only student awarded that, and I worked with him for a year, and I had my own studio, and I had all my workspace and my materials, and I was helping teach art classes, and it was great. But the whole time, I was just biding my time while my girlfriend at the time finished up school, and then we were on our way to LA. And we planned for it. I spent the whole year reading books about making it in LA as an artist, as an actor, taking all the steps that you need to do, all the precautions, preparing yourself for what it's going to be like. And, yes, saving up money. I saved up for me what I thought was a great amount of money at the time, which was about $3,000 to $4,000. Of course, little did I know that when I got down to LA, you'd blow through that within like the first month or two, just renting a place, putting down deposits, registering your car, getting your place set up, getting established. You blow through that in a heartbeat. So yes, I thought I was prepared in that way and I wasn't prepared, but at least I was taking steps and at least I was learning all the ins and outs of the art and the acting world and trying to figure out, if this happens, what can I do? I had like different plans of action, courses of action. And so when we came down here, none of it really played out the way I thought it was going to, which is funny, of course. It's like, how do you make God laugh? Make a plan, right? But anyway, the point is, I took the risk. We came down here. We didn't know anybody. It was so terrifying at the time. Obviously, we had youth on our side. So it's not just something I'm saying, if you're in your 50s, just throw everything away, move to New York City and try to make it as an actor or something. Youth does mean a lot because you can always pick up and start over if something doesn't work out or you just have energy and resilience on your side. But we did make it work. I'll spare you all the boring details, but the point is that was a risk that was huge. But I did have some things that could have bailed me out if I wanted to. I was young enough that if something happened, I probably could just tuck my tail between my legs and run back to my parents and stay at my parents' house or go back to my university town. The cost of living is much cheaper and, still have some connections there and do something. It wasn't like the end of the world, but it was very risky to think that we could just throw all of our stuff on our back, go to a new city, and then just make it as actors and artists and stuff like that. But anyway, for many of you listening, taking a risk doesn't have to be this huge. It doesn't have to be taking like injections to try to save your life. It doesn't have to be moving to a city that you don't know anybody in, don't have a job or don't have any money saved up. It doesn't have to be something like that. Taking a risk for you might be trying a new style of art. It could be like, I've been working with landscapes for a long time, but I want to try my hand at abstract work, or I've been a painter for a long time, but I want to try some sculptures. Those are risks I've taken over the years. I changed my style. I was a figurative pop surrealist for a long time, and I did that for over 10 years, and that's what I was doing. I grew up painting figures and drawing figures, and that's what I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden, the abstract artist in me was trying to poke its way out, and I took the leap, and I'm so glad I did. That was a risk that I was willing to take because it was something that I knew I had passion behind. And I knew that I was going to be able to make it work because I'd kind of been subtly playing around with abstract elements in my work for decades. But anyway, it was something that I knew I wanted to do. It was something I did. Luckily, that paid off for me. But it might be the same for you. Same thing happened when I tried to do some sculpture or assemblage type stuff. I was like, okay, I'm going to use these materials that I find. I'm going to start breaking the plane of the canvas a little bit and make some, painting sculptures. And that really worked out for me too. They became one of my biggest selling series. So for you, it could be as simple as that. Like, okay, maybe I want to try a new style. Maybe I want to try working on a grand scale. I've never worked on a grand scale before. Maybe you want to start working on huge canvases. That can be a risk for you. Maybe it's something like, yes, maybe you want to try to transition out of your job into becoming a full-time artist. Maybe you're kind of moonlighting as an artist right now, and maybe you want to start making that transition. Well, you can listen to many episodes on this podcast that can help you figure out how to do that. But that's a bigger risk, right? It could be as simple as speaking your truth to somebody. It could be as simple as, I'm going to take a risk and not focus on being as much of a people pleaser anymore and going to shows every weekend and making it seem like I have this foothold in the art world, but you're treading water, going to shows, doing all these things, and you're not really developing your work as much. You're thinking, well, I'm just making connections and stuff, but you can make connections for 20, 30 years and then never do anything. Maybe that risk for you is to start focusing in on yourself, being a little more selfish, getting in the lab, getting in the studio, doing your work, polishing a huge body of work, and devising a plan that can get you more into the spotlight and advance your career. That might seem like a huge, huge risk for you. Maybe a risk for you is you're, in a gallery, you're a day player. You're one of the group artists in a gallery and you haven't really been getting your day in the sun and you're really terrified to do this, but maybe taking a risk is you finally getting up the nerve to go to the powers that be, the gallery owner, the gallery director, whoever it is, and really make a case for you having a solo show and, presenting it well. For me, one of the risks that I've had to take recently, and it kind of became a necessity at a certain point because it was unsustainable, but I had to start cutting ties with people and cutting ties with social media for a while and everything because this disease was taking over my life and my nervous system was so shot that I couldn't handle any more, gritting my teeth or white knuckling it and pretending like I'm well and being out there in the real world. I had to focus in on myself, kind of go into safe mode, which is doing the bare minimum of necessary functions at home and working on my art. And yes, this podcast is a priority for me and it's been hard to do, but that was one of the things that was on my priority list. Keep doing the podcast, keep getting this out there, keep selling work and using my wife and leaning on her to help me ship things when I can't handle it on my own. And yes, getting out into the studio when I still can. Recently, that's been very difficult for me, but I have a huge body of work, thankfully, that I've been able to get out there and market and repackage. So I've been able to kind of hodgepodge, put these things together, copy, cut, and paste different strategies that I can when I have the energy to do it, which is very rare. But, I've been able to make it work. That's been a risk. And I had to cut out social media because it was a very big drain on me, not just from a nervous system standpoint or like a dopamine standpoint, and feeling like I was not really honoring my truth. I was kind of stifling my own voice so much that it was suffocating me and it was making me sicker. So I had to prioritize myself. And that was a risk because if you're not on social media, if you're not building your followers, and if you're not showing your work every day and blah, 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 you might not be able to sell any work anymore. Or that might be it for your career. Well, it has been almost 2 years now since I have been on Instagram, which I used to be on every single day, which I used to do stories and reels and posts and, comment on other people's stuff all the time, maybe an hour a day. I was very mindful of how I did that, but I was on there every single day. And I have not been on there for 2 years. And guess what? The world did not come crashing down on me. The art world did not come crashing down on me. My sales did not dry up. Surprise, surprise. I was able to still keep myself going with my galleries and online galleries, and I was still able to generate sales. Yes.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney Plus.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're gonna crack this case and prove we're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
You are... Gary the Snake. And your last name? The Snake.
Dream Team.
And new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home.
You're clearly working at.
Zootopia 2, now available on Disney Plus, rated PG.
Get business done with the new American Express Graphite Business Cash Unlimited card. With unlimited 2% cash back on all eligible purchases, unlimited 5% cash back on flights and prepaid hotels booked through American Express Travel Online, and a flexible spending capacity that can grow with your business, you'll have the confidence to keep building. Apply today and earn a welcome offer of $1,500 cash back after you spend $50,000 in qualifying purchases on your new card within the first 6 months of card membership. Terms apply. Learn more at go.amex/graphite.
They did not continue at the same pace, but that's just because I haven't been able to push my workout and new workout as much. But the machine has kept going, and it's been going because I mitigated those risks. I mitigated those risks of, yes, taking a break from social media and taking a break from, being out there and interacting with all these people who were, potentially a drain on my psyche and sometimes downright damaging to me and to my health. And I just decided to go into safe mode and do the bare minimum of stuff that I could do. The essentials, essentially. So these are all different forms of risks. And some of these risks might jump out at you like, oh, I could do that. I've been wanting to take a break from social media. I've been trying to actually have some no phone days or see what it's like to actually exist as an artist who doesn't have to be completely chained to social media every day. Some of these risks might be something that you might want to take or you might find to be worthwhile. One thing that I will show you is that some of these risks have been mitigated. They've been either mitigated by body of work or a long-standing relationship in the art world, work ethic and saved up money, different types of connections, dipping your toes in little by little as you make a transition. That's a way to mitigate a risk. So there are plenty of ways that we can take risks, and there are plenty of ways that we can have a little bit of a cushion that can cushion our fall if these risks don't pay off. But I do think there is a lot of truth to saying if we're not taking risks, if we're not challenging ourselves, if we're not pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, it's like the David Bowie quote, just go a little bit further into the water, a little bit deeper than you think you can go. And just when your toes are not touching the bottom, that's where you need to be working. I definitely believe in that. And he's not saying throw yourself, into the deep end or, jump off the boat in the middle of the ocean. No, he's saying tiptoe out there, go a little bit deeper than you feel comfortable. That's where you need to be. That's kind of the level of risk that I think we should be taking as artists on a daily, weekly, or monthly or yearly basis. But those big risks are necessary sometimes. Sometimes you might be in a situation that is unsustainable. You might be living in a toxic place. You might be living around toxic people. You might be in a town or a city that is not serving you as an artist. You might be in a job that is soul-sucking, that is just making you feel like your life has no purpose and you need to finally make this jump into what your purpose is as being an artist. Yes, those are much bigger risks to take, but all I'm saying is think about ways that you can start making the plan. Think about ways that you can start building that cushion should you try one of these risks and maybe fail. But I just want this podcast to be a little bit of a shot in the arm to show you that I've taken many risks in my life. There's many that I haven't even talked about. Maybe we'll talk about it on another podcast, but there's many other huge risks I've taken that some have paid off, some have not paid off. And I've learned from all of them. But, I really think there is value in trying to find places that you need to push yourself out of your comfort zone. So let's all think about ways that we can be taking risks and also taking risks that we can mitigate the downside of. Obviously be interested to hear what some of those are for you. But I think it is important and we owe it to ourselves to find those areas of our lives. If you're wondering what risk you need to be taking, or maybe you don't think there's something that you need to do, well, I would look towards the place that is the most painful for you, or the place that is the most rationalized. Well, I'm fine here. I'm comfortable here. Those are typically the places that you need to look, because those are typically the places where you actually might be starving for change. So look for those areas in your life and start thinking about some ways that you can push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. Gonna leave it at that for now, everybody. I think we've gone on long enough, but I do think this was an important topic that we need to talk about, which is taking calculated risks in our art careers, and even in our lives, so we can, live the lives that we are meant to be living, because without the risk, there really isn't a reward at all. Not to sound cliche, but some of these are true. All right, everybody. Going to keep going with these treatments, hopefully make some progress. And we'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Take care of everybody else out there. And we'll see you on the next episode.
I decided
I don't want to be a rapper.
I don't want to be a rapper.
So just cut the music.
Cut the music.
Cut the music.
Cut the music. Cut.
Take a risk.
Take a risk.
See what? Take a risk.
Risk, no reward.
Whatever.
That's right. Cut the music.
Oh, man. Son of a bitch.
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.